the subway, and the kids would get out of school and they'd be on the subway platform and someone would see me and they'd all scream, run to the other end of the platform as fast as they could because they were so terrified. And it's so interesting when you watch someone on television, you think that they're real. I mean, I'm that way about Downton Abbey. Those are not actors for me. Those are real people, you know? And I got death threats because of the fact that I was, I don't know, torturing someone. Laying off full Sarah, you know? And they'd call the studio and say, really, you know, if I can catch her, I'm going to kill her because just playing a part, you know, I'm actually a really nice person.
But, you know, I think that's the difference between television and the stage. When someone sees you on the stage, they always think of you as your actor name, not the character. But once you do television, you are that character forever. And there's some reality there, and that's what happens. And it's brought into your personal life sometimes.
What I really love is I've heard over the years, the number of people who've come up to us when we're signing our books and photographs and saying, you know, you got me through a terrible childhood. If it hadn't been for you, I don't know what I would have done. And that really makes us feel so good. And I think it's because we offered I mean, no matter how much a kid got bullied on the playground or had trouble in school or had an unhappy home life, you could kind of tune it all out for a half hour in the afternoon and find pure escapism. And no matter what happened to you during your school day, at least you didn't get bitten by a vampire. So, you know, we took you to another place, and it was pure fantasy and escapism. And I think that was the balm that we gave kids.
Anyone else have a question? Right there.
Just wanted to ask, what kind of a transition was it to go from the television show to the movie to get the movies? What kind of changes did you have to make? Your style and your acting? You're saying you
a lot longer to get through a scene than a shoot a movie. I mean, we worked at such a fast pace in the television show, and then we sat around all day when we got to the movie set. That's basically the difference.
Well, I'll tell you, it was really, it was a shock for me because before I got Dark Shadows, I'd never been on camera before except to do a hairspray commercial. So I was really young and very, very green when I started on Dark Shadows. And when we made the transition to film, it was a little tough for me because you just couldn't make a mistake when you were doing Dark Shadows on television. And you did everything in one take. And then you do a movie and you're doing take after take, you're doing close-ups and all the rest of it.
Over and over.
It was the luxury of being able to do something a second time was the thing that struck me on the very first day of filming. I couldn't believe it.
And Grace and Paula, of course, had done films. And she was kind of our mentor. And I remember she said, don't move, be still. Because every movement when you're on a huge screen is magnified. And I mean, she said stillness and the camera will read your thoughts, which I thought was pretty good advice.
Yeah. And Joan Bennett said, don't move your face around too much.
It's the same thing, yeah.
And you always look at one eye. You don't look back and forth between two eyes, otherwise it looks like you're shifting. So you look at one eye. What other things do you remember learning?
Nobody ever gave me any advice.
Jerry, you were that good. Need it.
That's right, you were that good.
This is the most natural, I mean, has anybody seen Dr. Mabuse? This thing that okay. Jerry is just wonderful in that.
Well, real men don't ask directions.
There you go.
Rick?
What were you guys' thoughts on the recent Dark Shadows movie with Johnny Depp? Did you like it? You didn't like it?
I think there's kind of a consensus among all of us and all of you that the movie didn't capture what we meant it to be when we did Dark Shadows. The basic difference, I think, is that we were serious and we were trying to do, something really scary. And they kind of, we had comedy, but it came out of the bloopers, and they were unintentional. They made it intentional, and I don't think that fit in well with the Dark Shadows basic formula.
Yeah, it was a different tone completely. It was a wink and a kind of letting the audience in on the joke. Whereas, as Jerry said, we played the show with tremendous commitment to the moment and believability. I mean, if a plastic bat got dangled from the end of the line that was being held by a prop man off in the corner, and the bat came to bite you, you screamed like you were about to die. It was complete and total conviction. It wasn't that's supposed to be pretty scary, which is the way Johnny Depp did it. You see what I mean? I mean, it's kind of a different way of seeing something that is supernatural.
For us, the very best part of the Johnny Depp, Tim Burton film is that we were asked. We were asked to participate, and so often, the original. Everybody wants to reinvent the wheel, and they want to forget about the original. And in this case, we were honored, and Laura and I were really thrilled to be there.
It was great.
It was wonderful, and you know the story because Laura and I both told it. But when we were on the set with Johnny Depp and Tim Burton, I took the opportunity of thanking Johnny Depp for the generous remarks that he had made about Jonathan. And Tim Burton and Johnny Depp both said we wouldn't be here without you. Well, that was a wonderful thing for all four of us to hear. And that kind of acknowledgement meant quite a lot.
I mean, personally, I think there was a charm and just a magic about the original series. I mean, I think it was Dan Curtis that actually went back and tried to relaunch it again, I guess, in the 80s, maybe the 90s. And I mean, there was just a charm and a magic that, your presentation of it had that just is not ever going to be able to be recaptured. It was lightning in a bottle, and it was just, it was a thrill for me as a kid to watch it, and then years later, when I saw that, I could rewatch them on Netflix and get them on VHS and things. I mean, it was just as good to see it, as an adult as it was as a grade school kid. I mean, they'll never be able to recapture that charm.
Thank you for saying that. And I also want to say that Dark Shadows for all of us has been a catalyst for so many other things in our lives, including, you're probably familiar with what Laura's been doing, just taking the Dark Shadows story to, another dimension. And you've got 3 of these out now with a 4th on the way?
Yes,
That's terrific.
3 fictional novels, the first based on my character, Angelique, tells the story of her childhood in Martinique and her seduction, her romance with Barnabas. And this is the 3rd one that's just come out. This one's about Quentin and Elizabeth. And Quentin is the werewolf, but he has the painting that ages instead of him. So this is what this one is about.
And Maria's got a book out. Maria's also written a book.
Yeah, my book.
Yes, your book.
Oh, my book.
Yes.
Someone asked me when I wrote it, and I thought it was about 2 or 3 years ago. And we looked at the inside cover, and it was 9 years ago. I couldn't believe it, but it's called On Stage and in Shadows. And actually, I did so much stage work even before I went into Dark Shadows. And then I continued in television for a while, did soap opera, Somerset for 3 years. Then I went back to the theater. So I wrote this book, and what was such fun about it is just going back right to the beginning of my time when I was born in New York and writing this book and finding all the wonderful pictures that I had and the reviews and the stuff. And it was just the most wonderful thing for me. And so it was nice, and I was happy that I was able to share it with everyone and do that particular book.
We're going to ask the group to stand together so everybody can take some photos, and then we'll thank them again.
Okay.
Yeah, just watch the screen light comes out there.
I have to say, thank you for remembering. Thank you for coming out to enjoy this with us.
Thank you.